Okay. So again, thank you all for being here in this session. We're going to talk about social sciences and humanities research proposals for master's and doctoral scholarships applications. My name is Cecilia Kramer. I'm the advisor of fellowship application development at the School of Graduate Studies. So basically my role here, for those of you that doesn't know me, is to be with you in the whole process. Like once you decided what competition you are going to be applying, then I can help you writing your research proposal, brainstorming ideas, choosing your referees. If you have questions about personal statements, everything that you need about the content of your application, I'm here to help you. So don't be shy. You have my email there, or you can book a meeting with me and we can have meetings one-on-one. If you're still a bit lost and you don't know what opportunities are available to you, then I will ask you to contact Catherine. She is our external awards advisor and she knows all about these opportunities. So again, you can send an email to her to external.graduate.awards@concordia.ca, or you can book a meeting with her also to talk about opportunities one-on-one. So today, I'm pretty sure you already know why we are here. So we are going to be focusing in external awards for research-based programs, and we are focusing this meeting in two major agencies, the federal or tri-agency and the provincial, the Fonds de Recherche du Québec, the FRQ. Since this is specifically for social sciences and humanities, we're going to be focusing in SSHRC and FRQSC. There are the two agencies that are going to be funding this kind of research. Just for you to know, if you're starting the program with one of these awards, then the School of Graduate Studies will offer you an extra, the Special Entrance Award. There is $6,000 for masters and $10,000 for doctorals, but this is only if you start the program holding already one of these awards. So keep that in mind. So let's go right to the main elements of an application. If you are wondering if you're eligible, then I have another video, I have another session for you that you can check on this. I'm just gonna give like a quick recap. So for tri-agencies, for those of you that are starting your master or you're in your first year, you can apply to the tri-agency Canada Graduate Scholarship, Master CGSM. This is only to Canadian citizens, permanent residents, and protected persons, and there is a pre-selection in Concordia. The deadline of this application is December 1st, and the value starting this year is $27,000 per year, and it's only for 1 year, and it's non-renewable. Okay, you do have to send the application through research portal, but once they ask you what your top 3 preferred institutions, and then you will have to put Concordia so we can receive your application and we can start this pre-selection process here. I created a checklist for you to review on your own time, just like use this to start crossing, to start, okay, this is what I need, this is what I don't need. Just as a review, you will have to create a research proposal that is 1 page, and a summary of this proposal that is a lay abstract. So you will have the research proposal 1 page and 1 page of bibliography. You will also have to submit official transcripts, 2 reference assessments, the Canadian Common CV, and a special circumstance letter. We're going to be talking about all these things during the whole presentation today, so don't get overwhelmed. For those of you who are doing a PhD or you're starting a PhD next year, doctoral, the tri-agency has the shared doctoral. This is also, again, to Canadian citizens, permanent residents, and protected persons. So if you're an international student, this is not for you, but you do have other options. There's a direct application through the SSHRC web. I gave you here the link, but you can also look for it online. So the application goes through there. And again, you have to put Concordia, and then we will be receiving your application through the SSHRC website. The value starting this year is $40,000 per year for up to 3 years, and it's non-renewable. And the application deadline, the internal application deadline in Concordia is September 27. Please pay attention to that, because right now, if you go to the website of SHRC, you're going to have another deadline. But since there is a pre-selection process here in Concordia, this is the deadline that you have to pay attention, September 27. Again, I have a short doctoral checklist for you to review. You will need, once again, a research proposal. You will need a bibliography. In this case, it's 2 pages for research proposal and up to 5 pages of bibliography. They will also allow the special circumstances statement that they call it here allowable inclusions. If your research is related to poverty or to Canadian studies, then you can ask for a supplement. It's only a click and you just have to justify it very quickly. And then you will have to submit what is called research contributions, relevant experience and activities. That is an attachment, 2 pages. Don't get stressed, we're gonna talk about this. Transcripts, again, 2 reference letters, again, and SHRC web CV that is online. We're gonna talk about this. Moving to the provincial awards, we have the FRQ, Masters, and Doctorals. So these awards are not only for Canadians, but also for international students. So you have 3 options to apply to this. You can apply with your RAMQ, that is open to Quebec residents. If you are admitted to the program, then you can apply only with a letter of admission to your program. Only the first page is more than enough. And if you're not admitted to the program, but you have a supervisor that is going to mentor you or is going about you to be your supervisor, they can fill a form, that is supervisor form, and you can apply with that. There is a direct application in the FRQ system, so there's no internal deadline here in Concordia. The application deadline for FRQSC, that is Société Culture, for both masters and doctorals is October 1st. And the values are a bit different at the tri-agency. For FRQ Masters, we have 20,000 per year for up to 2 years. And for FRQ Doctorals, we have 25,000 per year for up to 4 years. Again, here is the checklist. You are going to need the same for masters or doctorals. Basically, you have the application form that is online, that is through the FRQNet system. They are going to ask you the CV in the form, so degree, scholarship, awards, everything, you will have to put it in the system. For those of you doing a PhD, you will need to present a lay abstract in French. I have resources if you are not comfortable with French. We're going to talk about that later on. So again, they will ask you for eligibility criteria, RAMQ, or the letter of admission, or your supervisor's form. So choose one of these. The special circumstances letter, again, here they call it interruption or slowing down. The relevant experience and achievements, that for masters is 2 pages and for PhD is 4 pages. The integrated presentation of academic background, that is 1 page for masters and doctorals. And the research project. The research project for masters is 1 year, and for PhD is 1 page, and for PhD is 2 pages. Only 1 page of bibliography and transcripts, official transcripts, okay? There's no letters of reference here. They are not gonna ask you for letters of reference, and the Canadian Common CV, that we're gonna talk about this in a second, it's not required. Okay, any questions on elements to consider when we are applying to all these opportunities? First of all, eligibility criteria. I already sent you the video, but you can check the video about the funding opportunities in the YouTube channel as well. If you're not eligible to any of these opportunities, don't apply, because it's going to be a waste of time. Again, it's always a learning experience to apply for all these things, so it's great. But for example, if you're going to be applying to SHRC Doctoral and you are an international student, then you're going to ask some professors to write reference letters. You're wasting their time. So the first thing to consider here is the eligibility criteria. And second, the guidelines. All these scholarships, they have very, very specific guidelines, and they can be as specific as what's the font to be used, the margin that they will require. I did send you here, if you click here in the FRQ guidelines and the CGSM, so you will have all the guidelines, so please read them. For sure, Doctoral, once you start doing the application, the guidelines appear in a box once you want to upload the files. So make sure you're reviewing that, the formatting of the file, where do you have to put your name. So all those things, they will add in how nice and how well the reviewers are going to be receiving your application. And the third thing that I want to talk about in this specific section is about selection criteria. This is something that most of the students, they don't pay attention, but it's extremely important because this is kind of like the guidelines that are going to be shaping your research proposal. You can find the selection criteria in all the websites of each competition. They're all different. So try to find them and read them. So why it's important? Because every reviewer is going to have these selection criteria next to them. And they're going to be checking, okay, this student for academic excellence is showing me the transcript, how well the GPA. So all these things, they will have to pay attention to it. So if you are adding in your application all the things the selection criteria has, then you're going to make the job of the reviewers easier. And they will be happier. And they will be ranking you higher. So identify all the exact criteria that they're looking for and try to add them in the application. These are just examples, but for example, for CGSM, CGSD, this is just to show you that there are differences between the applications. FRQ also is a bit different, and they look like this. For example, academic excellence, the reviewers will have to check not only transcript, but also duration of the previous studies, the course load, and they will be checking this in the common CV if they have in the academic transcript, personal statements. So try to, try to add all this information, not only in your transcript, but in your personal statements and other things. Research potential. They're not going to be only checking your research proposal, but also they're going to be checking, for example, originality, initiative, autonomy, community involvement. So all these things, try to keep in mind, for example, when you're writing personal statements, that they have to be there. Like, what's your motivation for applying for this? What's your motivation for research? Ability to communicate, scientific concepts, all those things they will be looking for. Another thing that I wanted to mention is like many of these things, for those of you applying to share doctoral and CGSM, they will probably be in the referees assessments. So we are going to talk about how to choose the referees, but these have to be people that they will be able to talk about all these things. I don't know if we have more questions because we did another question section a few seconds ago, but something has a doubt or we go straight to the other part? Okay, we are good. So let's talk about what you guys have to do, the main elements of an application. So if you review the checklist that I gave you at the beginning, you will see that all these scholarships, they will ask you for some kind of CV, transcripts, reference letters, personal statements, and research proposals. So we're going to be talking about each of one of these. So let's start with CV and transcripts. Tri-agencies, CGS Masters, they will ask you for what is called Canadian Common CV, the CCCV. For those of you that are not familiar with the system, so basically it's an online system that if you're staying here in Canada and you're working in academia your whole life, you're going to use it. Basically, it's all the information there that you will have to upload, exhibitions, presentations, papers, and if you upload them now, you will have access to that in 10 years. So it's a bit tedious, because they will ask you for absolutely everything. And mostly people that are working like in research creation projects, or they're coming from the arts, that you have a lot of exhibitions, that you have maybe a lot of like films or audios, like it will take time. So if you're applying for the CGS master, this is a very good moment to start filling the Canadian Commons CV. Once you go to the website, there's a funding source drop-down menu, and then you have to select the CGS Masters. There are very several templates, but you have to use the CGS Master. Just click load and start filling everything as much as I can. That said, you do not need a Canadian Commons CV for SSHRC Doctoral, because they do have a SSHRC web-based CV that is on the website where you create the application. So they will start asking you some awards, scholarships, and things like that, but it's an online specific for SSHRC. And FRQ does not require a Canadian Commons CV. Once you open the FRQNet account, you will see that on your left, there is a section that says Canadian Commons CV, but that's only for other competitions. Like that's only to fill your profile. Reviewers are not gonna get your Canadian Commons CV. And once you enter to the application, for example, here, I think I tried to do a master's application, and you see the instructions. This is the first page that you're going to be seeing. And I just want to here, letters of reference and Canadian Commons CV are not required for this program. So even if you fill your Canadian Commons CV and you upload it as part of your profile in FRQ, reviewers are not going to see it. So do not waste your time in there. Another thing that I want to show you in this section is here, refer to the presentation standards for PDF attachments. So that's the guidelines that I already mentioned that I want you to read. Okay, so transcripts. Let's talk about transcripts. Sometimes unofficial transcripts are accepted, but officials are actually the rule. In my experience, reviewers, they tend to see with better eyes when an applicant sends official transcripts. So if there's not a huge thing for you, just ask for official transcripts right now. FRQ will require official transcripts. I had students last year that they had amazing applications, but they applied with unofficial transcripts and they were ineligible like at the second. So please ask for official transcripts, and they have to be up to date. What this means? This means that we need to see the courses that you are registered in the fall semester. Even if you haven't started the fall semester, you are already registered in 2, 3, or 4 courses. We do need to see them. Once you ask for a official transcript, we're going to see the names, the grade. It's not going to be there, but we are going to see that you are in the program, and that's what we need to see. Okay, that's what it means, up to date. If you graduated, for example, from your bachelor in 2018, you graduated from your bachelor, you asked for official transcripts, and you have them with you for some reason, that's it. You can use those because nothing else happened in your bachelor. It was done in 2018, so that's it. That's up to date for us. You don't have to ask to your university again. There's no new courses. There's no need to ask for another transcript. Why we need official transcripts? Because if you see the official transcript, you're going to have the front page where we have all your grades. And in the back, you have the grading system of your university, because not all the universities, they have the same grading system. So on the back of the transcript, you will see probably a table saying like, what's an A, what's a B, what's a C. So you will have to scan that, okay? And yes, you have to scan it and you have to upload them to the system. You do not have to send them to anywhere. That's what I want to say, that in the Concordia system, once you ask for official transcripts, there's a note that is saying not valid if opened by student. Don't worry, open, scan it, and upload it. So yes, I'm giving you permission to open the envelope and to scan it. You do not have to send it to your department. You do not have to send it to us. Okay, my advice is order them now, because as soon as we are getting to the deadlines, there are more and more people asking them, and there are more and more delays. And it's a shame if you're doing all this work and you do not get your transcripts on time, so you won't be able to apply. In this section, I also want to add reference letters. This is only for SSHRC masters and doctorals. As I say, we do not need reference letters for FRQ. They are way more important than we think, because many of the things on the selection criteria that we saw before, they can and they should be added in your reference letters. So you will need two academic reference letters. It's a good idea that one of them can speak highly about your academic achievements and the other one highly about your personal achievements. Because, and I will start saying this, and probably I will repeat it during the whole session, the reviewers and these agencies, they are going to fund not only researchers, but also people. Okay, so we are looking for a well-rounded applicant, not only an amazing academic, but also someone that is has very, very personal skills. So these reference letters, they should be people that know you very well, that have worked with you, and they can speak about you with different levels: the leadership, personal skill, research, the scholarships, the awards. And a good thing that you can start doing now is try to get to know the program and the people. So start asking these questions about the potential reference letters. Are they able to write you a strong reference letter? Do they know you? Are they general supportive, critical mentors? Are they well known in the field? Usually, the ideal reference letter is coming from someone that is amazing, well known in the field, that is very supportive. There's an amazing mentor, and they know you very well, and they're willing to put the effort to write a strong reference letter. And from there, we're going down, right? Like if there's someone that is very, very well known in the field, but doesn't know you, then there's going to be able to write like a vague reference letter. And as I always say, an okay reference letter is a bad reference letter. So these people will have to put the effort and time to write personal and really, really showcase who you are in these reference letters. So there are a few ways that you have to help them. One of them is give them enough time, at least 6 to 8 weeks, because writing a good reference letter takes time and takes effort. So make their life easier, give them time, copy the relevant guidelines for the program that you are applying. Because, for example, for CGSM, they have specific characters that they will have to fill, and they have to fill, I think it's 3 sections. So they should know about these things before starting to write your reference letter. Send them your CV, send them, if you already have your research proposal or a draft, send them your research proposal, offer to have a meeting with you, offer ideas. If they are willing and open to receive them, you might know them. So offer ideas on some guidelines of what they could emphasize. For example, if you remember, I was doing this community or this volunteer work with this agency, or when we work together and we have this publication. So try to make some nice ideas or good examples that they will be able to put in the reference letter. And lastly, and this is just an advice, when you get an award, let your referees know. It's polite, and it's better, like in the future, if you want to ask for a new reference letter, these people are going to be more open to give you one. And I will add, if you do not get the award, also let them know and also thank them, because they have put the effort for doing this. I know that I have some questions in the chat. So let's go. Okay, so let's talk now. Let's talk about personal statements. So what are the personal statements? I call personal statements to everything that is not research proposal. So again, if you go and check in the checklist, you will see that there are things that I mentioned: special circumstances, relevant experience, research contributions. So all those things, that's what I call personal statements, everything that is not research proposal. So for those of you applying for SSHRC Master, there's no personal statements. You don't know how to write anything else but the research proposal. For those of you applying for SSHRC Doctoral, you do have to write what is called research contributions, relevant experience, and activities. This is 2 pages and is divided in 2 sections. The part 1 is research contributions. And here we start talking also about research creation. Why? Because they will allow you to add in these things, not only refer contributions like books, monographs, articles, papers, conferences, all these things, also non-referee contributions, book reviews, research reports, posters. They will also allow you to add in this section the forthcoming contributions, so the things that are already submitted or accepted or in press. If you have a paper, a publication that is in preparation, then no, that's not going to count. But if you already submitted or any of the things like a publication or a book review or everything, you can add it. And for those of you that are in the research creation process, project, they will allow research outputs, artistic creations, exhibitions. So you have to put in a separate category, creative outputs, and give me all the information. Video and audio recordings, film, presentation, performances, all these things, they are going to be taken as research contributions. So if you, for example, are an artist and you're doing a PhD and you spend your last 20 years in a career in the artistic field, so you may think, I have no research contributions. That is not true, because they are taking creative outputs as research contributions, okay? When you're writing all these things, you can mention a few things. So for example, if you have a paper or a publication, or for example, you can say, I'm the first author of this. If you are mentioning exhibitions, just tell me a bit more information. What's a solo exhibition? Was with a crew, with a group you were collaborating? So all those things, they have to be there. The second part, so this may look like a bit like a bullet points. So you can tell me referee contributions, and in each contribution, give me some explanation. And the second part, that is the applicant statement, this will take a bit more of a narrative way. So they will ask you relevant experience and relevant activities. So relevant experience, you will have to describe all the activities that they give you some skills, or they advance your knowledge in research. It can be your honors and master thesis, everything that is work experience that add to your research experience, academic. All these things, they have to be in the relevant experience. And relevant activities, it's something that you have done, but not only in the academy, but also extracurricular activities, collaborator with people. Have you done, I don't know, any community service? Are you a member or any community? Are you supervisor? Are you coaching students? Everything. Here I put some examples, but the idea of this is like you explain to me who you are as a researcher in relevant experience and who you are as a person in the relevant activities. Use this to highlight all the things that you have done. We're going to talk about that in a second, but as I say, here they're going to try to fund not only researchers, but people. So this is the moment that you have to go back to the selection criteria, see what these people are looking for, and try to find it and put it in here with your experience, okay? FRQ, you will see, for those of you that want to apply to SSHRC Doctoral and FRQ Doctoral, the things that I will ask you are very, very similar. The first attachment, the personal statement that they will ask you, it's called relevant experience and achievements. This is for both masters and doctorals. For masters, they will ask you for 2 pages, and for doctorals, 4 pages. So you have a lot of space to write in here. Again, in the relevant experience and achievements, they will classify it as relevant experience, everything, teaching, mentoring, assistantship, collaboration in projects, research project, internship, all this information that you were actually putting in the shared doctoral, you can add it here. Again, don't just list it, explain to me a bit, give me some information. For example, if you are telling me about, I don't know, scientific achievements, for example, publication, first author, okay, you were a first author. Then, I don't know, you were doing interviews with these and these people, and actually you created collaborations that now you're going to be using in your PhD. That's a huge thing. So you should add it there. For example, you are telling me relevant experience that you have done this exhibition or you have done a residency in this country working with this artist. So that's also huge because that also shows that you have initiative, that you were able to have different collaborations. So try to get from all the relevant experience and achievements and everything, try to get something that will translate to why you're doing your PhD or your master here. They will also allow you other achievements. So anything that is non-academic, they can demonstrate your engagement in your research. I don't know, if you have worked 10 years as a social worker, this is also an achievement. This is experience that you can explain here. So really, really think about your whole CV and try to add your whole CV into this personal statement, okay? The second personal statement the FRQ is going to ask you is the integrated presentation of academic background. As this says here, this is from the FRQ website. There are not evaluation criteria for this. This is only to help the reviewer to better understand you. And this emphasizes a bit more what I've been saying. These are going to be funding not only academics, but also people. So here, this is the moment to show here who you are. What's your motivation? Why choose to do this research? Why you choose to get into Concordia or choose your supervisor? So use this space to really, really try to communicate to me why you are the right person that's doing this program. There's only one page allowed in this document. So really, really be smart to how you're showcasing this, because even if it doesn't have any evaluation criteria, they are not gonna use this to rank you. Reviewers are people, and people have some biases, even if they are trying not to. So this is the moment that they will try, I don't know, maybe they will get more, they will have more empathy on you. So choose this very, very wisely. And the last one that both of these agencies are going to allow from masters and PhD is what they call the special circumstances. What is this? So if you have done your career in a way that is not the norm, like bachelor, masters, and PhD, like one after another one, then you can explain it here. Examples. David told me that he did 2 masters. Okay, so you can explain, I did my first master and then I did a second master and now I'm doing my PhD. Explain to me why you were doing that. There was another student that asked about the GPA that it was very low during the bachelor's. What happened there? You can explain all this, but explain things in a way that you tweak them for the positive. So if your GPA was very low, for example, in your first semester of your bachelor, but then you went super high at the end, I don't know, because you start getting motivated, because you found your passion, because you understood the system. So explain it to me. So they allow very broad things. For example, health problems, pandemic impact, parental leaves. If you have, I don't know, if you had to take care of any relative, all these things, they will take that into consideration and reviewers read this. reviewers, they do take these things into consideration. So if there's something for you that you feel that you need to explain from your career, use the special circumstances letter. How we are writing all these personal statements, if you're working with me, you will see that I will not change the narrative, because this is the way that you have to show who you are. So I feel that the narrative is very, very personal. So I'm not going to be changing that, but I will be advising you in how to highlight some of the strengths. What I see very often in students is they are not owning everything that they have done. So own everything, like you are the focus here. So try to write these personal statements in an active voice rather than a passive voice. And what do I mean with this? Things don't happen. You made them happen. You created this collaboration. You were looking for this opportunity. So you're not going to come across as arrogant, because most of the students are actually come across as very humble. So don't be afraid of that, but really, really empower yourself and see the big picture. You are doing a master, you are doing a PhD because you earned your place here. So try to really, really showcase this and really empower you. If there's any weakness, if there are any limitations, for example, low GPA, somewhere in your bachelor, or I don't know, you failed some courses in your second semester, we're going to see them, right? Like we have your transcripts. So they're going to be obvious. So you can explain this here. You can say, okay, you know what? I have a low GPA, but I overcame this challenge. Always think to turn this in a positive way. Do not give me new weakness that I cannot see from your transcript of your research contributions or proposal. But if there's any weakness or any limitation, use it, and use it how you have overcame this challenge and why now you are here. As I say, these agencies are going to fund, yes, people in academia, but also outside academia. So how your research has an impact in the non-academic community is a major thing here. So this is probably the personal statements are the way that you have to show me what you have done in the community, right? Like why you are the one that should be doing this research and why this research is important for you to have this money. So really, really think about all the things that you have done, not only the academic environment, but outside the academic environment. And finally, if there's any way that you can address the feasibility of the proposed research, use this personal statement here. What do I mean with this? For example, I don't know, you're going to be working with archives in the US. So you can tell me here, you know, like you are from the US, or you have already worked with this museum, or you have already worked with this community. Give me some information that I can link with your research proposal, and I can, like, you know, make the link. It's like, okay, this person is going to be doing this, but already has experience. This is awesome. This is going to happen. This is feasible. And that's it about research proposal. Here I put what the agencies say about SHRC and FRQSC master's and doctoral research proposal. Again, SHRC master's 1 page and 1 bibliography. We're going to talk about that. PhD 2 pages and 5 pages of references. References are bibliography. I mentioned here, if the output of your degree program is an artistic creation rather than a thesis, clearly indicate the research component of your proposed work. Outline the objectives of your research, the context, methodology, and contribution to the advancement of knowledge. I added this here because the students that are doing a research creation project, sometimes they are wondering, like, can I apply to SHRC? Can I apply to FRQSC? Yes, you can. But still, you have to give me all the components that a regular non-research creation project has. Methodology, context, contribution. We're going to talk about all these things, and I'm going to give you examples for you to have a better idea what I'm saying. FRQSC Masters, 1 page, 1 bibliography, and PhD, 2 pages and only 1 page of bibliography. research creation, everything that combines creative and academic research practices. It can take many, many different shapes. I'm thinking about MFA students here, mostly studio art students, even some students in the art education department. So don't freak out. There are ways to do this. Let's talk about the main aspects of the research proposal. You have to write a research proposal that is for the period during which the award will be held or your program. So if you're doing a PhD program and you're giving me a research proposal that can easily take 10 years to fulfill, we have a problem. So if you're doing a PhD program, your proposal has to fit in 2, 3, or 4 years. Same with masters. Your proposal has to be for 1 or 2 years. If it's too long, then it's not going to be feasible, okay? Must be as specific as possible without being too jargon laden. We're going to see how to avoid this, but basically you have to think who your reviewers will be. For example, if you're in sociology department, maybe your reviewer is going to be someone in history or maybe someone in psychology. So it will be someone that has some knowledge, but it's not someone in your field. So really try to explain the techniques and all the things that you have to do in a very simple manner. Then we have the specific parts of the research proposal. We need to have a background and a context and a research question followed by objectives. Sometimes a hypothesis is not needed, and then a methodology, and finally the significance. We're going to be seeing all these things more in depth, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. And the references and the citations, they have to be in-text citations, and these citations are going to become your references, your bibliography. You can leave some spaces. So when I see a research proposal that is a full block of writing, is a bit overwhelming for me. So if you want to use headliners, if you want to put context, and then you start writing the context. If you want to do my hypothesis and bold hypothesis so I can easily understand, okay, this is the hypothesis, please do it. Try to make it visually nice for the reviewers so they don't get too overwhelmed. I'm pretty sure you guys know how to write things, but one of the advice that I have to give you here is like talk about your research, talk about with anyone. I don't care if you work with me, you will see that I asked you a lot of questions because I do want you to talk and talk and talk, and I do want you to process the information in a different way than you are writing. So when we are talking, the information goes different, and sometimes, I don't know, like when I was doing my PhD, for example, I was sending me audio notes all the time because I have this amazing idea, and I was talking to myself, and then when I was listening, it's like, okay, this is not working. So it really, really makes a difference. Then see what's the best time for you to write. You have a lot of things to do. So if the morning doesn't work for you, use it to do the CCCV and then work in the afternoon and draft all the materials. The final outcome has to be clear, concise, coherent, and compelling. So this is what we call the 4 C's. So to be clear, a friend should be able to read it? No. No, that's not the case. A colleague should be able to read it. So actually, I always say we have 2 levels when we are writing a research proposal. One level is your supervisor or someone, a professor in the field. This person is the one that will be able to say, okay, this is feasible. Okay, this makes no sense. How you're going to be doing this? No, the idea is good. The idea is bad. All these things is your supervisor or professor. Then try to find someone that is kind of in your same level or a bit lower. For example, I don't know, someone an undergrad in your field, or if you're a PhD student, for example, someone that is just starting a master, they kind of have some knowledge, but they're not experts, right? So those people are the ones that are going to be able to mark sentences or ideas that they are not understanding, that maybe they're too jargony for them. So I don't know, a technique that you think, everyone knows about this, and maybe they don't. So this is the way that you have to make your application be readable without being too jargony. It has to be concise. If the competitions is requiring you, for example, 1 page, it is 1 page. It's not 1 page and 1 sentence, because that 1 sentence is gonna be deleted. Respect the margin limits, read the guidelines. Again, balance the weight space between sections. We're gonna have some idea later on how to do this. It has to be coherent, so please answer all these questions, the why, how, what, and when. So why you're doing this is as important of how you're doing it. If I understand the how, but I don't understand the why, then it's like, why? Why do I need this application? So really, really think about these things. And when you are writing this, you are not writing only a research proposal. You are writing a sales pitch. That's the mindset that you have to have. You have to convince me that you are the right person with the right question, with the right tool, with the right ways, the right researchers in the right institution. So all these things, they have to be there. Avoid setting aims and objectives that will not have a clear answer. And if you have any limitation, you can acknowledge it and you can address it. We're gonna go very in depth about the elements of the research proposal. And I'm gonna give you some examples for you to have an idea of why am I talking about. First of all, we have to start with the background. We have to start with the context. And this is going to give me why the research is relevant. So I have this paper here from Robert Porter that is a really nice paper that talks about grant applications. And one of the quotes that I like is, seasoned grant reviewers will admit to making up their minds on the very first page of their proposal and rarely change their posture as they read the rest of the document. In your case, will be the first paragraph or the first lines. That's why I always say, start your proposal with a strong statement. This will set the importance of your proposal. And why am I saying this? Reviewers are very busy people. If they have 20 applications to read and yours is the last one and it's a Friday night and they're tired, if you're not getting interested in the beginning, you're going to lose them. So you have to think in the first sentence, in the second sentence, a hook for them to, okay, I need to keep reading this. So usually when I work with students, it's like, okay, we're working the proposal, methodology, and then we come back. Then we come back to the beginning and say how we make this so attractive for the reviewers that they cannot stop reading. The background, the context, I would say is 20 or 30% of the proposal. No more than that is 1 or 2 paragraphs. And you can think about the context, about you have to explain the ideas that help set up your work and why your work is important. Do not open many windows. Do not open many branches that you will not explain. Only focus on the things that I need to understand your proposal, okay? Don't start like quoting or citing different authors because you're gonna lose space. So try to be concise, try to go to the point why this is important. So if there's any gap in the literature, for example, you can easily establish it. You can easily say there's this problem and there's this problem and no one ever connect them. So there is the gap in the literature. This is the moment that you have to do citations, that you have to use references. You have to, I don't know, reference background, previous work, and avoid bringing up ideas that are not addressed. Again, do not open many windows. Here, you can read them on your own. Here are different examples about how different students that they were awarded, they started their application. So these are samples that I can actually share with you. I have the okay from the students, but for example, if we read the first one, despite Canada's leadership in promoting lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, and queer rights, we know very little about how each letter of the acronym is represented in electoral politics. Since the first openly gay legislator in Canada come out in 1979, over 40 other lesbians, have been elected to federal provincial office. I'm already hooked. Like I do understand, and I do like already for the first or two sentences, I kind of understand what's the goal of the application, right? I just want to highlight a few things here just to start showing you how the research proposal they're going to be looking for, they're going to be looking like abbreviations and references. So here, for example, LGBTQ. Maybe everyone knows what is LGBTQ, but then he worked with LGBTQ. So there are going to be two different abbreviations. Use them because that will save you a lot of space. Don't overuse them. Only use them for these things that you're going to be mentioning during your whole research. And then references or in-text citations. I saw a question there in the chat. There are many, many different ways of adding references in the text. The one that the first example gave, this is the superscript. Then he mentioned 1, 2, 3, and then in the bibliography, you will have 1, 2, 3, the 3 different articles that this person is referencing. That's a way of doing it, and that saves a lot of space. The agencies, they do not have specific guidelines about how to do references or in-text citations. The only thing that they will require is to use something that is used in your field and to be consistent. So for example, if you are here referencing like this is a different example, this is a different application, but this student decide to reference like that. Put the name of the artist and then the year on brackets. So then when I'm going to references, I will be looking for the Bayonne 2012. Okay, so this is the way that we're doing references. So once we have the context is set, I understand what's going on in the world right now, what's happening in the field right now. What do I do with this? So the background, the context should naturally lead to clear understanding of the problem of your proposal, what aims to address. And this is your research question. So I always do this. So your proposal has to start this. This is the context and it's narrowing down to your research question. You can easily say, my research question is, or my main objective of this proposal is. So it has to be clear. It has to be focused. I have to read it and I have to understand what's your research proposal about. Okay, we can think of the research question as your main objective. So here are examples also. Here the student was very, very clear. My research project will address this gap that already mentioned by answering the following research question, and goes with the research question. I have another example. So my project will be by asking. Clearly, those are the research questions there. The third example, my goal is not only to discover what medical technologies can offer, but also how art may be used to impact and sensitize medical practitioners. So that's my main goal. So it has to be very easily identifiable and it has to be broad enough because then I will ask you to go to your objectives. Why is that? The research question is going to give me all the information that I need. How will I understand the next sections of your proposal, the goal of your proposal, but the objectives are gonna kind of guide me of how you're going to be doing this. So this is only 10, 20% of your proposal because I want you to do this very clear, very concise. You can enumerate them if you want. If you have your research question, I will answer these questions by doing aim number 1, blah, 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 aim number 2, or objective number 2. So it's easier when you enumerate them because when we are going to the next session, that is going to be the methodology, then if you were mentioning, for example, aim number 1, and then in methodology, you tell me for aim number 1, I will be doing this and this. It kind of creates a more organization. So in my mind and in the reviewer's mind, it's going to have a better flow, right? So we are setting the objectives. Of course, they have to be clear and concise. Avoid too much interdependence. So if you have just 2 or 3 objectives and they're all dependent on each other, one of them fail, everything fails. So be conscious about that. There's not much to say about this. I just want to show you here how the student did it. So my studies, 3 objectives align with these dimensions, and then he clearly put 1, 2, 3. There, I have my 3 objectives, and then when I move to the methodology, I will know how this person is going to evaluate, assess, and measure. Okay, so it really, really is my mind. I can really understand this. And then another thing that I mark here is I hypothesize that gender minorities running for office, blah, blah, blah. It's great if you want to create a hypothesis. You are more than welcome to do it. There's many, many fields that hypothesis, I think I already say it, but maybe your hypothesis is more like exploratory. So it doesn't really have to be there. The research question and the objectives, yes. The hypothesis, really think if it's worth it to add it or not. So once we have the research question, we move into the objectives, how you're going to be doing this, how you're going to be answering all these questions. So this is, again, 20, 30% of your proposal. So this is very important in your proposal. Because I don't only need to understand that you do have a good idea, but also you have the good and the right tools to answer this question, to develop this idea. So you have to explain to me everything. For those of you that are doing the research creation, you also have to explain everything that you have done. I'm going to give you 2 examples. One is from a research creation, and another one is from political science or sociology, I don't remember. But things to pay attention. How you will be doing it. If you have techniques to be used or you have specific tools, you have to give me all the information. For example, you are telling me that you're going to be doing interviews. How many people? With whom? How are you going to be doing the interviews? Are open interviews, in-depth interviews? Are you going to be, I don't know, collecting some information from there? Are you going to be analyzing like keywords or specific things from the interviews? Are going to be doing archives research. What archives? Are you going to be traveling? Are you going to be using the archives here? Do you have access? Maybe your supervisor have access to these archives, so you can add it just to show that this is feasible. I don't know, another example, you're going to be working with indigenous communities. Do you have the okay? Do you have connections with this community? Do you have the tools to work with this community? You're working with children. You have the ethics approved for that. Are you going to be asking for ethics approval? So all these things, they have to be in the methodology. I always say, if you're, for example, doing a master's, when I read the methodology, I have to imagine yourself doing the work in the next 1 or 2 years. I have to imagine going to the archives. I have to imagine you doing the interviews. So really, really give me all the information. My advice, write as much as you can, and then we can start editing. But the information has to be there. And there's something that is always like a bit missing in social sciences, analysis. You're going to be doing interviews. You're going to be collecting all this data. How are you going to be analyzing this? How are you going to be working with this data that you created? So really, really put the thought on this to try to convince me that you know what you're going to be doing from A to Z. Yes, you're going to be doing interviews, or you're going to be exploring, I don't know, different artists. Where are you getting the information? What are you doing with the information? How you're analyzing it, and what's the possible outcome? This is a very, very long example. I'm not going to ask you to read the whole thing, but I do want you to see a few things. Okay, so the student, this is the same student. They have the 3 different objectives. And here, if you see, I was like first, second, and lastly. So he also divided this in 3 sections. What does he has? Technique. So everything that is in green is going to tell me the technique. Qualitative content and discourse analysis. That's what he is going to be doing. Semi-structured interview, bilingual online survey. So that's what's the technique. That is like how he's going to be doing this. To whom? The subjects. So he's going to be doing qualitative content and discourse analysis of 5 2STMB legislator, of 502 2STMB voters from across the country recruited through voluntary and snowbird samples. So he's giving me all the information that I need to understand this person knows. This person knows what he's doing. It's not going to only mention 500 people. He's telling me how he's going to be recruiting these 500 people. Okay? And then maybe he's not going into depth about what is the discourse analysis, but he's telling me what's the information that he's going to be collecting from there. For example, from the first part, will determine what policies gender minorities promote in office, or to learn about their experience running for office. That's the possible outcome. That's the information that is going to be collecting from these 3 different experiments, let's say it. And then what are we doing with this? This data will support statistical analysis of the 2 STMB voting preferences, which I will compare to equivalent research on LGBTQ people in Canada. This is the analysis that this person is going to be doing. And if you keep reading the application, it's going to go more in depth and explain what really is going to be doing in there. So all these things, they have to be in the methodology. For those of you doing research creation, you will need to do the same. This is a research creation project of a master's student that I applied a few years ago, and he got awarded. So I'm not going to do the same exercise. You can do it by yourself. You can go and highlight what's the technique, what's the subjects, what are the analysis that he's going to be doing. But what I want to show you is that in here, he created 2 things. First, the research process that he's going to be doing, and then the creation. Just going to give you a summarize. For the research, it's going to gather archives composed of audio, video, tangible artifacts. It's going to conduct a series of interviews of 5 queer immigrants, telling me also where he's going to be recruiting these people with this Montreal-based community center. So he's telling me about the research part. And then using the collected archives as source material, I will generate images and text that will undergo the process of transformation to speak to the core of the immigration process. I will use contemporary traditional printing techniques such as screen printing, woodcut, and intaglio. I will also recreate some objects using clay slip casting, while the structural and support elements will be made using metal and wood. That's the creation part of the proposal. So I do need to think and to see all these things. If you're doing, for example, painting or textile exploration, you have to give me all these different ways that I have to understand not only the research, but how you're going to be doing whatever you're doing it. And finally, why? Why you're doing everything that you're doing. And this is what I call the so what effect, the significance. If I finish reading your proposal and I have this of like, so what? Why? We have a problem here. So you always have to think in the outcome, not only in the academia, but also outside academia. So if you have found a research gap in your context, you can circle back and say, with this proposal, we're going to fill this gap that I found in the bibliography. But also you have to explain to me what are the contributions in the community, how this is going out of academia, and how this will impact any community, Canada, whatever. But you do have to explain it that. You have to explain what will be the wider societal benefit of the expected outcome of your research. For example, for example, here, my documentary taken will expand feminist theorizing on female friendship in the media. So we are very, very there with the academia, but also my project will be instrumental in developing my narrative, research, and communication skills so that I can effectively support youth in taking the creative and intellectual risk that critical storytelling entails. So I'm helping the youth, right? And in the second case, it's very similar. My aim is not to celebrate or fight difference, but to foster an ethical turn in medicine and greater society, where difference is expected and respected. So I invite you to read the whole paragraph because it's really nice. So we are not only talking about the research per se, we're talking how this is going to impact the society. For example, if your outcome in your research creation process is an exhibition, that's not only your outcome is something further. So what's the significance of that exhibition? Are you expecting people to start discussing about the problem? Are you expecting people to start having some kind of awareness? So all those things are important when you're writing these proposals. So extras to keep in mind, citations, choose the way that you want to citate, but do it. Most of these agencies, they're also asking for a realistic timeline, and I will advise you to add it. I'm not gonna expect like a timeline, like a table, but you can tell me like during my first year, I will be working in aim number 1, or the interviews are going to happen in winter 2025. So that's kind of the timeline, right? Because it's gonna help me to understand that your proposal is feasible and that you have a plan. Proposed institutional supervisor is mentioned and it's relevant, so you can easily say why you choose Concordia because, I don't know, there's a good design lab, or there's this professor that is amazing in sociology or whatever, so mention that. References are adequate. When I'm talking about references, the bibliography, so you are citation and your citations are relevant. It's not heavy on jargon. Everyone can read it. Includes or mentions EDI aspects. So if you're working with minorities, if you are doing interviews, maybe it's a good idea to tell me you're going to take into consideration sex or genders. You are doing, I don't know, feminist research. So all these things are very, very important to add, and it follows the competition guidelines. For those of you applying to FRQ doctorals, you will need the lay abstract that is in French. So the lay abstract is basically an abstract in a very lay way. So you can think about the lay abstract in a way of like, I don't know, if you get awarded, then your face is there with the lay abstract that my mom can go to the website and read your research and she will be able to understand it. So you can use AI, but use it with criteria. You can translate with AI. Do not copy paste. So if you're translating with AI, then just try to find someone that speak French just to review it, because in my experience, AI is getting a bit worse. But we also have writing assistant for students. If English, for example, you're doing the application in English and English is not your first language, so these people can support you with the grammar or with finding some better vocabulary. So you have a drop-in, or you can book appointments with them. And finally, if you need to translate your lay abstract, there is a French translation services here at Concordia that you can access through your supervisor or through us. So you can send me your lay abstract and I can send them to these translation services for translating in French. They can take 2 to 3 weeks, so do it as soon as possible. Don't do it near the deadline because we have a lot of requests and they can take longer. Just be aware and mindful of this. The rest of FRQ uploads, yes, they can be in English, so don't worry about that. Here are the deadlines for this year, so screen capture this. Again, FRQNT Masters and Doctorals, October 2nd, FRQS, Masters and Doctoral, October 3rd, FRQSC, Masters and Doctoral, October 1st. And SSHRC and SHRC Masters is December 1st, and SHRC Doctorals is September 27th. All the competitions are already open except CGSM. So if you're applying to SSHRC Masters, then you will have to wait a bit. But right now, the rest, FRQ and all the doctorals competitions are open. So I will recommend you to go and create your account so you can go and see the checklist for yourself. I just want to give you this. So when you have the slides, you will have this YouTube channel. And SSHRC has a very nice playlist with videos and things of how to do things, how to apply to CGSM. So it's a very good idea for you to have it. These are our emails. So Catherine is the person to contact. Again, if you have any questions about eligibility or if you want to have more information about any award, and this is my email. So as soon as you start working on this, come to me, and here you will have a planning calendar. So if you are someone that really needs deadlines and really needs some organization, you can come here and you can see everything that you have to do week by week until the moment of applying to this. I will suggest you for you to apply at least, I would say 2 or 3 days before the deadline. I don't know if you know this, but last year SSHRC website collapsed the last week of the week before of the deadline. So students were freaked out, like we were freaking out a bit. So try to avoid these things. If you have reference letters or referees that have to submit the reference letters, give them a deadline that is way advanced on time. So if something like that happened, do not worry. SSHRC, what it did was like move the deadline for 1 week after, but still there were a lot of things that we needed to assess. But that's it for me now. So now